Share. There we go. Oh, because of the Windows noise? It's something that always happens when the chatbot loads in. It lets me know that it's working correctly, at least. Bummer. Bummer. Stream has been offline. There we go. Fast rep doing the Lord's work. All right, let's get right into it. Court is now in session for the trial of Solomon Starbuck. Of the Starbuck fame, the defense is ready, Your Honor. Excuse me, Mr. Justice? Yes, Your Honor? What happened to your eye? I love how you're just like, yes? Whatever could you possibly be interested in? I'm fine. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Are you sure? I don't... I'm fine, Your Honor. The defense is ready. Okay. But does he really need a rap and then have the two long-ass Ryu fucking tails behind him? I guess it's Capcom, so the answer is yes. You missed it, Maxim. It was an enjoyable time, though. I'm sorry, Your Honor. He's been kind of a prick ever since he got his eye poked. He's been like this since yesterday. He keeps insisting it's just a sty. I suppose it's something he doesn't want to discuss. I've had styes. Why would you cover your fucking eye because of that? Like, that's the worst excuse. Maybe he's entering a touchy age. 23. Very well, and the prosecution? The prosecution appears to be ready as well.
Silence!
Not yet. I'm not quite ready yet. Ah! Whoa! Starting a trial off like this. Ah! Prosecution is now ready. Well, it didn't take him long this time. What's up with Blackwell? Now then, I shall give the opening statement.
Silence!
Or not? I'll do it. You will? You'll actually do your job? What an unexpected surprise. This time I can't leave it to anyone else. Well, I mean, especially since each time you've done it last time, you've lost. I mean, I see. Something is off with the two of you today. There's something going around in the water. You both seem different somehow. Very well, Prosecutor Blackwell. Your opening statement, if you would. It was just yesterday. Of course it was. The crimes in question occurred at the Cosmos Space Center. That famous federal research facility of all things related to astrology, right? Astronomy. It's astronomy. Anyway, a rocket was set to launch from there. But at 9:28 a.m., before they could even move the rocket to the launch site, two explosive devices were detonated and the launch was cancelled. My word, 2 bombs? How dreadful. You know how difficult it would be to be able to plant explosives on like a NASA rocket? Like the only way you'd be able to get away with that is if you were an insider, and not just an insider, but like higher level clearance. Like it just, that sort of thing just doesn't happen. My word, 2 bombs? How dreadful. The defendant in today's trial is charged with both the bombing and with murder. One Mr. Solomon Starbuck. For whatever inane reason he detonated a bomb on the rocket he himself would be in. Solomon Starbuck? I recognize that name. Isn't he that famous astronaut? Okay, so in this case, motive doesn't matter because Blackwell just said so immediately. Well, for some stupid reason, I don't know. Correct your boldness, Mr. Starbuck was the pilot of that HAT-1 rocket 7 years ago. As you may recall, despite some interstellar trouble, his mission was a success. Some say it was a miracle he returned alive. I suppose you could say he's a living legend. Oh, I remember now. He's become something of an international celebrity, right? He should have kept this hair. Not that it's that much better, but it's a little better. They even turned that incident into a movie and everything. You got a real space pioneer in court today. Oh, that's because that's not really him. It's the actor that plays him. And they were like, you know what? His hairstyle's stupid. Let's make it look better. YK? The fuck is YK? You know? You're asking me if I know, I don't. Who are you talking about? I've got to make it back alive. But even arrows tumble from their lofty heights. Returning to the subject at hand. Ah yes, the victim was one Mr. Clay Taryn, a subordinate of the defendant. Indeed, a loyal disciple brutally stabbed to death by his mentor. Stabbed to death, you say? You mean his death wasn't a result of the bombing? Correct. Despite his lofty dreams, the victim was seen as an interloper by the defendant. And so he was sent not into space, but to the universe which we mortals cannot see. Clay. I think I've heard enough. The case seems pretty clear-cut at this point. However, there's one thing I'm curious about. The case is clear-cut? Is he fucking kidding me? There's no evidence. Blackwell didn't present any evidence except for saying, well, we think he blew it up and then murdered him because, you know, jealousy. But we don't know why, you know, he still blew up his own rocket. It's kind of weird, yeah? That metal box next to the witness stand. What purpose does it serve exactly? Since you ask so nicely, it's your coffin. Ah! Holy shit! Wow! Have mercy on me! I jest. It's evidence. Due to its immense size, we've little choice but to lay it where it rests now. We shall get to the contents of the box in due time. I feel like I just lost 50 years off my life. Does he even have 50 years left? Enter monologue, Athena. Enter the monologue. Enough jabbering. Bobby Fulbright's the name, and justice we trust. Ah, Detective Fulbright. Very well then, please explain the details of this incident to the court if you would. On it. First, take a look at this pamphlet from the Cosmos Space Center. In it, you'll find a diagram outlining the overall layout of the Space Center. Ah, here we are. For a more detailed look at what's on the left side of this building. Take a look at this cross-section that we, the police, have created. See the launch pad and the main building? The launch pad is the square building, and the rounded structure is the main building, right? You got it. The incident that took place in Launch Pad 1 and in the main building's lounge. I'll be using this diagram during my testimony. It'll make it easier to understand. Just before the rocket was set to launch, 2 bombs went off. One on the second floor of the Space Center's main building and one in Launch Pad 1. Thankfully, only the 2 astronauts were in Launch Pad 1 at the time. The 2 of them managed to make it back as far as the boarding lounge. But after the escape, one of the 2 was found stabbed to death. The murder on top of a bombing? Detective, the victim was already dead by the time you arrived at the lounge, correct? Yep, thinking he'd sabotaged the bombing, the defendant attacked and killed the victim. Just look at this tragic photo. Oh my, is that a knife in the victim's chest? Yes, Your Honor, it's the knife that cruelly ended this young man's dreams. We couldn't get any prints off of it, though, because the defendant was in his spacesuit. By the way, Detective Fulbright, why are the victim's helmet and right glove absent from this photo? We had to remove them to identify him, Your Honor. I personally removed his glove during the investigation. We had to get his fingerprints to confirm his identity, after all. Yes. It would be very difficult to identify him without a face or fingerprints. Now, there's just one more thing I'd like to inquire about. What is this round thing next to the victim in this photo? Something so important to the victim, he took it with him as he escaped the launch pad. A capsule that apparently contained asteroid samples. While obviously valuable for research purposes, it has no relation to this case. Yeah, seems like an assumption you're making. I see. So, we know that the bomb in the main building was on the second floor. But where was the bomb that was placed in Launchpad 1 located? Heh! That one was on the rocket itself. It was situated around the central part of the rocket. Apparently, the area around the launch pad's elevator was a sea of flames. I would like to submit this diagram and report into the record. Trial's just started and we're already in a bind. That's going to happen in any criminal trial because they're the ones with the evidence in the case that they think they have enough to put you away. You get used to it. Besides, that's what the cross-examination is for, right? The 2 astronauts were doing during the bombing. That'll be the key. Where's the rest of the information? I guess it's gonna be updated later.
Hold it!
Welcome back, Mike. And welcome, Randy. And Easy. Let me get this straight. Mr. Starbuck rigged a rocket he was going to board with explosives? Huh? What are you talking about? If the defendant really did plant the bomb on his own rocket, he'd get caught in the explosion as well. Oh, I hadn't thought of that. Okay. The judge has really regressed this case. This is like... Oh, God. This... Oh. They changed everyone's voice, I think. Fine. A simpleton for a simpleton. All right, the motive. Understood. The defendant actually had astrophobia. Why wasn't that brought up before? Like, that's pretty important information. Astrophobia? What's that? The fear of Astro Boy, naturally. Actually, sorry, there's a little space humor there. Fear of space, naturally. Just the thought of space can cause the afflicted to freeze up. And so in his terror, the defendant found a way to stop the launch at the last minute. That's absurd. Unfortunately for you, we have evidence. Take a look at these. What are they? These anti-anxiety tablets were found among the defendant's possessions. Apparently he was taking them in secret to quell his fears. That doesn't mean the dude has astrophobia. I take anti-anxiety medication. Does that mean I have anti-lawyering phobia? Or lawyerophobia? Attorneyophobia? Because I take anti-anxiety medication? No, that's not what that fucking means. Oh my god. Like, the pills don't mean anything. Show me a diagnosis from a doctor. That's the only thing that matters here. Him just having the pills is close to worthless. I won't say absolutely worthless, but close to worthless. There are a multitude of problems with the rocket Mr. Starbuck rode 7 years ago. Rumor has it threatened to crash a number of times as well. That was, of course, very traumatic for Mr. Starbuck.
Objection!
Like, that's fine. Show me evidence that that's the case, though. We're just saying that. We're just making contentions without backing them up. That doesn't mean he goes so far as to blow up his own ship.
Silence!
The defendant couldn't bear to mar his good name now, could he? No, not after the media had branded him so Starbuck's space pioneer extraordinaire. Given these conditions, the defendant could hardly run away like some base mutt. Wait, what? So that's why you think he resorted to the bombing? Naturally, he constructed the act of sabotage in an attempt to blow up the space center, which would effectively abort the launch, but spare his reputation. Ugh. Now I'm sure you understand why we have to bring justice down on this atrocious criminal. The it's very much conjecture.
Hold it!
Speculation and conjecture until they actually provide some sort of like proof behind their own diagnosis. Are you sure it was only the two of them? It was just before the spaceship was set to launch, so of course it was only those two. Well, there could have been somebody else inside that rocket.
Silence!
Sid Highwind, maybe? The notion of a third party in Launch Pad 1 is utterly absurd. Just to enter the area from the lounge, one must pass through a door guarded by a fingerprint recognition device. Allow me to state up front that there are precious few with the clearance to do so. A fingerprint recognition device, it sounds as futuristic and complex as a space center. Actually, it's not as amazing as you think, Your Honor. Take a look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. How did those walls get so white? I was gonna say something about this, but then I lost it. Sorry, that's my bad. This is the door in the lounge with the fingerprint lock. Only personnel whose fingerprints are registered can pass through. I see. That is very different from what I had in mind. Is there a record of the number of people that passed through that door yesterday? Yes, there were only 3. The defendant, the victim, and the director of the Space Center, Yuri Cosmos. And doesn't that mean it's possible that the director is the one who did it? Not a chance. He was in the main building when the bombs exploded at 9:28, doing his job directing the launch. He could have planted the bombs there, though. Besides, an alibi is no motive for committing these senseless acts. He has a point. I guess the director can't be considered a suspect then. It's my eyes, how they're so bright! There we go. That's good. That's good.
Hold it!
That's why don't paint your wall white. It should be like off-white, at minimum. So, while it would appear that the pair barely escaped with their lives, in actuality, one of them had already been murdered inside the rocket. That's the angle the prosecution wants to push, correct? You got it. In fact, that's what I've been trying to say this whole time. If the victim had been alive, he would have for sure tried to stop the bombing. Is there any chance Mr. Terran could have been killed before he boarded the rocket? They were both alive and well at boarding time and embarked under their own power. Their hearts full of hopes and dreams of space. Objection, speculation. And then both their hopes and dreams were dashed. I may continue my explanation after the evacuation order was given. The defendant made his escape carrying the victim to make it look like a rescue.
Hold it!
And who was the first to find the victim? Actually, there were 2 of them. The Space Center director, Yuri Cosmos, and Detective Candace Arm. She's the one that got murdered, right, in the first case? One of them was a detective? Yep, Detective Arm specializes in bombings, you see. She and the director were ordering the evacuation following the explosions. They were also worried about the astronauts, so they hurried over to the boarding lounge. That's when they discovered the victim along with the defendant. 2 witnesses, huh? One of them is a detective. Now, either one would have anything to say that would help me. It's like he's trying to give us as little information as possible. Maybe Prosecutor Blackwell's got his tongue. Well, don't let that hold you back. Keep pressing until we get what we need.
Hold it!
Thanks, Retro. Oh, that was so sad. How powerful were the explosions? Well, the one in the main building wasn't strong enough to bring the place down, but the room it went off in was burned black. Thankfully, nobody was hurt. Due in large part, of course, to me stepping up to lead the evacuation. Wait, what were you doing there in the first place, Detective Fulbright? Ha ha ha! I'm Bobby Fulbright, hero of justice. I'll be there wherever and whenever people need my help. Objection, Your Honor, that was worthless information. Please direct the witness to answer the question. I'd go to the other side of the world, even the edge of the universe. Not sure he actually knows how far that actually is, but I guess I'll leave that one alone. Admirable decision, Justice Stoner. Oh, what do you decide? Anyway, could you describe what it was like? At the time, the bomb cut the power to the central bank of elevators in the third floor lounge. It was pitch black in there, I tell you. However, the security cameras and whatnot were running on emergency backup. And how'd the evacuation go? I immediately and heroically whisked people down to the Space Center's basement shelter. Basement shelter? Yes, there's an emergency shelter beneath the Space Center. Emergency shelter, huh? Oh, here it is. It's at the bottom of the diagram. Space Center's pretty impressive to have its own shelter. Power outage and evacuation seem unrelated to the murder at this point. Guess I'll leave that aside for now. There are 2 explosions in total, correct? Yep, that's right. I think that pretty much covers the details of the case. Only the victim and the defendant were on the launch pad when the former was killed. If this is the truth, then only Mr. Starbuck could have carried out this crime. What little I could get out of him only hurt my case. Just as damn foolish as the warrior who rushes in headlong into battle. Preparation is an essential element of battle, so I advise you to take a gander at this. What is it? Footage from a security camera. As the 2 astronauts emerged from the bowels of the Launch Pad 1 corridor, he ruined it. You guys see what just happened, right? This is so stupid. Like, Blackwell had the win because the judge is a moron. He was already ready to find in favor of the prosecution. Then Blackwell went, huh, let me pile it on. Mister, I'm not prepared for my defense. Look at this. And it's like, dude, you actually just showed a potential contradiction. Like, Blackwell's a fucking moron. It's not just exclusive to this game. A lot of stories do it, and it's so goddamn annoying. The only way to brush it off is, oh, antagonist arrogance, which, like, okay, but, like, that gets really boring as an excuse over and over again. The boarding lounge security cameras captured their desperate escape. Now I'll direct your attention to what the defendant is shouldering. Which you can see is none other than the lifeless body of the victim. What? No, it's not. That's the victim. Well, wasn't him. Victim carrying our client. I did it. On purpose. Order, order, I say. This lines up exactly with what the prosecution has been asserting. If he did it on purpose, then this case should never have been brought. And so it makes even less sense. I should have known Blackwell would have something like this ready. Apollo? How exactly did they determine that Clay was already gone in that footage? Ah, I see what you mean. Your Honor, please take another look at this footage. Is it possible that Mr. Taryn was alive here and that Mr. Starbuck was helping him? Well, I believe you're right. One man carrying the other's safety. What a beautiful expression of friendship.
Silence.
Perhaps that's what it looks like to a one-eyed hothead and a donut. But it only makes sense if it's the victim's dead body. What do you mean? Wright, explain it to Justice Donut. You got it. Ready, kid? If the murder had occurred in the lounge, someone could have spotted it. Anyone can enter the lounge, after all. But doing it while they were alone in the spaceship? That's a horse of a different color.
Objection!
That's speculation, sir. But you can't deny that there's a possibility the murder could have happened in the lounge. All that video shows is a man helping his fellow astronaut.
Silence.
Your assertion is based on emotion. And your assertion is based on speculation. They're both equally worthless. Based on your belief that Mr. Starbuck would surely help his own disciple. But you have no logical explanation as to why the victim could still be alive. Unfortunately, Mr. Justice, the prosecution is right. Your argument is lacking in sound logic. The judge has actually gone back to being the worst version of himself. Actually the worst version of himself. That sounded perfectly logical to me. Well, Mr. Justice, if you have no further objections, I believe it's time to bring this cross-examination to a close. There was a less fury-inducing one. Objections, well, Your Honor, the defense requests a little time to think and regroup. Given the facts, I'm not sure I see the need. What is it, Athena? It's just, there's something that's been bothering me. It isn't the defense stalling for time, as always. Very well, I'm feeling generous. You may have a small measure of time. Yes! You have 5 seconds. 5 seconds?! After that, I declare this cross-examination to be closed and a verdict to be rendered. Ah, yes, because the prosecution can make that happen. Your boldness, raise your gavel, aye. It's time for a countdown. Oh. Ready? You don't have time. Spit it out, Athena. Only 3 more seconds. Look, I don't think the prosecution's explanation is very complete. Meaning there's something missing. Like, they conveniently left it unexplained. Something they didn't explain. Something they didn't explain. Ah, you're right. I think I know what you're talking about. Your 5 seconds are up, Mr. Justice. Is there anything about the prosecution's argument that you'd like to rebut? Yes, Your Honor. Actually, there is. There's something that the prosecution has yet to make clear to this court. Well, if you put it that way, what is it the prosecution has failed to explain? They have failed to explain why Mr. Starbuck would bother bringing the body back at all. If the defendant wanted to kill the victim, why didn't he just leave his body in the rocket? Why go through the trouble bringing him all the way back to the boarding lounge? Oh, that's true. I don't think we've heard the prosecution's thoughts on that yet. That's because they have none, Your Honor. After all, how does one explain something so illogical? The prosecution is claiming that the defendant moved the victim's dead body. But what if the entire premise of that argument is wrong? Let's hear your theory, Mr. Justice. The defense proposes that the defendant didn't kill the victim. He was helping. Wright, explain it to our sad friend here before I nod off to his monotone monologue. Inform him exactly why Space Boy was moved the victim. Huh? They've got to be joking. It's simple. Mr. Starbuck did what he did to direct suspicion away from himself. He wanted to create the impression he heroically risked his life to save his partner. That's why he made sure to make it to the security camera so there'd be a record. At the very least, he appears to have achieved success with you and the old man. The average person wearing a spacesuit weighs easily over 200 pounds. Saving the life of a partner who weighs as much while trying to escape deadly flames. What a dramatic sob story fit for the silver screen. Indeed, I was completely taken in by the humanity of the story. You see? Yet the true ending is that all traces of his hammy act were meant to be blown up. Yes, and now we arrive at the thrilling conclusion. The third explosion.
Objection!
What are you talking about? There was no third explosion.
Silence.
Indeed, you are correct. That is thanks to Detective Arm. It was she who identified and secured the bomb. However, it doesn't change the fact that the third bomb was discovered in the lounge. A steel coffin beside the witness stand. That would be a bomb transport case. We used that to transport the deactivated bomb here. It was found in the lounge. A bomb in the form of a most distasteful toy. What? One on the second floor of the main building, one on the launch pad, and one in the lounge. The defendant planned to set off 3 firework displays. Fortunately, the third was discovered before it could be detonated. Or had it not, the victim's body and other vital evidence would surely have been immolated. Ah! Before you utter a word, know that the evidence supports me. It's like he's reading my mind. As it is still undergoing forensic investigation, I do not have the evidence at hand. However, we know that a peculiar item is found in one of Mr. Starbuck's pockets. Specifically, a bomb detonation switch. Well, until you fucking have that evidence, this case goes nowhere. You found what? I suspect the defendant had no time to destroy such damning evidence. When the Space Center director and Detective Arms stumbled across the murder, so he thought to hide it in his pocket. Feeble brain that he is. No, Mr. Starbuck would never do anything like that. Calling an astronaut feeble brain is aggressively stupid. Justice, don't open your eyes and see the truth. This appears to be irrefutable evidence that the accused set off the explosion. They don't have it! They don't. They don't have the evidence. He literally just said, we found a detonator. Well, how about we wait till you bring that detonator in court and then I'll make a decision. Oh my God. No, there has to be some kind of mistake. This can't be the truth. Still can't accept it. You'll believe in your client, come what may. Then why don't you cross-examine the defendant himself? This has got to be a trap. Of course it is. Like Blackwell's controlling the entire game. Yeah, it seems like he was waiting for me to bring up the body moving issue. Why did he say that? Because he had just the right argument when I pointed it out. And to really rub it in, he had a decisive piece of evidence up his sleeve too. He hasn't provided anything. He just said he had it. Trying to shake my faith in Mr. Starbuck and break me down. And making you cross-examine Mr. Starbuck at this point was part of his plan too? Totally underhanded. I wouldn't expect anything less from him. Now let's hear from the arch-villain, the fiendish murderer himself, famed astronaut Solomon Starbuck. Witness, your name and occupation, please. Solomon Starbuck, astronaut. How did this happen? Mr. Starbuck, you aren't looking very well. Will you be able to give testimony? No. Well, unfortunately, no is not an option. Why'd you fucking bother answering it? Asking him the question then? You are being accused of the Space Center bombing and the murder of Clay Terry. Please testify to these allegations. Mind if I take this suit off? It's getting really heavy.
Silence.
It's not the weight of a suit that you feel, but of your sins. Your Honor, objection? better carry that weight for the rest of your life. Banish me to the moon. I don't care anymore. Wow, that was super negative. Is he gonna be alright up there? He'll be fine, I think. As long as he doesn't totally give up and say he did it then. Oh, he looks like a goddamn skunk. What's up, Switcher? All I did was support Clay over my shoulder and get us out of the rocket. Like always, I took the elevator down to the middle level and headed for the corridor. They had passed out by the time we got the order to evacuate. I didn't kill Clay, I was trying to save him. So you assert you didn't set off the bombs or murder the victim? I bet you think I'm lying, right? I reserve all judgment until after I've heard your full testimony. No, you don't. You don't. I'm sure you don't believe me. I bet you don't even believe I'm an astronaut. I don't think the judge doubts that. Who'd wear a suit like that except an astronaut? I will say that when I saw you in that movie, you appeared quite courageous, though I suppose reality never quite lives up to fantasy. It wasn't him! It was somebody that played him! I guess I'm just a big disappointment. I really don't care what happens anymore. Oh, he's completely given up. What a depressing fellow. You would have joined me in the clink? I imagine that annoying sighing of yours would rub off on the other inmates. Like how it rubbed off on Prosecutor Blackwell a second ago? Oh, that was him that said that? Huh? That was Blackwell's sign? Mr. Starbuck's testimony contains a glaring contradiction. The question is, what does it mean? Even if Mr. Starbuck is my client, I can't be gun-shy now. It's time to find out the truth.
Objection!
Mr. Starbuck, I need your testimony to be as accurate as possible. Was I not being accurate? No, because it's impossible for you to have taken the elevator down the middle level. What makes you say that, Mr. Justice? Please recall where the bomb went off in Launchpad 1. Also recall that after the explosion, the middle level elevator was engulfed in flames. Oh, you're right, which means... Exactly, the Launchpad's elevator would have been unusable. In other words... Mr. Starbuck, your statement is decidedly inconsistent with the facts. Being so good. What's with the helmet? Oh, Mr. Command! Mr. Command, you read me? Come in, please.
Objection!
This is Mr. Command. I order you to pay attention. Nice. Very well done. Stop this nonsense and answer my questions, Mr. Starbuck. Ah, my helmet. Ah! Oxygen tank! Oxygen concentration and body temperature declining. Requesting medical assistance. Ah! Apollo Justice. It's gonna be interesting when I put together a music tier list. It's like, just off the top of my head, I'm still thinking Apollo Justice might have my favorite music, like as the game in general. Mr. Starbuck, we are not in space right now. There's a ample amount of oxygen for us to breathe. Please stop pretending you have lost consciousness and stand back up. I apologize, Your Honor. I forgot I was still on Earth. I feel like we all just got a real glimpse of Solomon Starbuck, the astronaut. Yeah, he seemed more like an astronaut now than when he was doing all that sighing. Mr. Starbuck, could you please explain the inconsistency in your statement? About how you use the middle level elevator? I was nervous. I said the wrong thing. I'm sorry. I actually took a different route, I think. A different route? I hope you're able to deliver a straight story this time. I'll get it right this time. Maybe. No, I mean probably. Probably. Understandable to be nervous, but let me remind you, accuracy is paramount in court. Oh, it's not. Go ahead and lie. Nothing's gonna happen to you. In his court, at least. Don't do that, really. Let's see, my escape route. What I said before was a mistake. I remember now. I took a different route, maybe, probably. With a capsule and clay in my arms, I made my way down from the upper level. You're saying you escaped without using the elevator? That's right. There's a ladder that spans the upper and middle levels. Use that ladder to get to the middle level. Luckily, the fire hadn't reached the ladder, so we could make our escape that way. And the capsule you mentioned? I suppose you mean the thing next to Mr. Terran there. Is the capsule that important that you risk your life to take it with you? It almost goes without saying, but yeah, the capsule contains asteroid samples. Therefore, it's invaluable as research material. The spacesuit on play weighed a ton, but securing the capsule was also important. I need you to answer to the best of your ability. Mr. Starbuck, please remember that your verdict is writing on your testimony. Maybe I am guilty after all. I wonder if you can see the stars in prison. Bet it's more comfortable than a spaceship. God damn, dude. How did he, with the capsule and clay in his arms, climb down a ladder? How the fuck was that possible? I mean, I'm pretty sure this is clay, and like that's been my assumption since the beginning.
Objection!
Mr. Starbuck, why don't you just tell the truth? The truth? Let's see. The Earth is blue? No, that's not right. So, I guess the Earth isn't blue. Yeah, that's it. The truth, Mr. Starbuck. Oh, the oxygen concentration is super low in this area. Prepare the emergency oxygen tanks. Mr. Justice, the witness appears confused. Please help draw out the truth from him. Mr. Starbuck, under the circumstances of the time, you couldn't possibly have reached the boarding lounge via the upper level route. Huh? Not as long as this was along the escape route. This?
Take that!
To get down from the upper to the middle level where the Launchpad 1 corridor is, you would have to go down the ladder, isn't that right, Mr. Starbuck? Of course, that was the only way we could escape.
Objection!
Just you don't have, okay. But how would that work? At the time, you were sporting Mr. Terran over your shoulder, were you not? And remember, he was in full space gear as well, putting him at over 200 pounds. Everybody in chat right now like, ugh. Pounds. Ugh. 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 For us, it's kilograms or nothing. Gross nonsense away from me. Get that bullshit out of here. Oh. Ooh, well, it's easy on the moon. Gravity is only 1/6 of what it is on Earth.
Objection!
The Space Center is located on Earth. Sure to being an octopus climbing a ladder with an adult male in space gear in one arm while carrying the capsule in your other is impossible, wouldn't you say? That was actually pretty good. Short of being a goddamn octopus. Oh. So, Mr. Starbuck, how exactly did you climb down that ladder with your arms full? Ah! Mr. Starbuck, come clean and tell us the truth, now. Ah! Engineer, where's that engineer? Accidentally detected due to faulty maintenance, evacuate immediately! Where's the wind that caused it to... Okay. He's flying the coop. Help, I'm caught in the ceiling. Help, anyone? Bailiff, prepare the cherry picker. We must launch our rescue mission at once. Well, that's one way to take off while being questioned. Rather prove his innocence so we can go to space again someday for real. Would that have been enough for that to happen, though? It seemed like the oxygen tank was pointed downward at that point, or the hose was pointed downward, but maybe it wasn't. Now then, Mrs. Starbuck, do you think you can keep your feet planted on the ground? Yes, I apologize for losing control. You know, I don't know who it was, but I'm starting to agree with whoever said that he is awful. He is just fucking terrible. Like, oh. He is the biggest guy. And like, and he's not, because you can make a downer character and also make them interesting. He's a downer character who's just annoying. Would the momentum from expelling the chute, though, actually bring you upward like that? The reason that happens when you're in the air is because the air push, like, the current from falling downward, the act of falling downward. He wasn't falling downward, he was just standing there. Our client, Light, he's kind of getting annoying. You're ready to tell us the truth. Or the truth. Oh, not that. Anything but that. What's going on? This isn't the Mr. Starbuck I know. Yeah, resistance. There's no resistance here. Thank you, CJ. I just had a note to myself. Lionel. The truth. It appears Space Boy is prone to deception. Witness. Yes? I thought your story odd, but perhaps the inconsistencies can be explained as the result of a medical side effect. Ah, Prosecutor Blackwell, that noise is annoying. Please don't talk about that. What are you talking about, Prosecutor? Did I call him Professor? What are you talking about, Prosecutor Blackwell? Did I already state that Space Boy is ironically terrified of going into space? That's why he took some precautions just before the launch. Well, you see, traces of this anti-anxiety drug were found in his system. Oh, I sense things are about to nosedive. You got it wrong. I told him during the investigation too. I don't know anything about any drugs. I never took any medication, I swear. Dude, all they'd have to do is have you pee in a cup, and they'd figure it out. This was yesterday. You took some Xanax, that'd be in your system for like 2 days. At least. It was found in his system, but he doesn't remember taking it. How could that be? Somebody must have slipped into me. But I guess maybe that's why I don't remember, because of the side effects. Yeah, that's why I don't remember much about what really happened. What? There is... I'm trying to get over it, but there's something about this case I already don't like, and I don't know what it is. I'm trying to figure it out. He's kind of annoying, but that by itself wouldn't cause me to think this way. There's some other elements to it that I can't put my finger on right now. Maybe it's the fact that it's the 4th case and we're again just going straight into court. But I didn't mind that for 3-4. Could have something to do with prequels and knowing what's going to happen. In this case, we know what's going to happen because we saw it happen at the beginning of the game. Unlike Terry Falls, we didn't know that shit was going to happen until it happened. We were like, wow. Order, the court. You can't get any useful testimony out of him if he doesn't remember anything. So, again, I go back to 3-4. 3-4 had a very similar issue with the lack of information, but I didn't dislike that case because of that. I thought the way that case, like, provided the information over time was really good. And I think they're trying to do that here. Maybe it's just not effective. That's apparently how that system is. No discovery to be had. It doesn't help that we're coming off a really good case. Or a case that I really enjoy. Well, this certainly explains why his testimony kept changing. Why did he just tell me he couldn't remember? I think one thing I don't like about the lack of information here compared to in 3-4 is that Apollo's best friend, apparently, that's the implication, just died. Apollo's reaction to it is, you know, people respond in different ways, but this is kind of ridiculous. Not only that, but they're not giving us anything about their relationship, and that's really annoying because I want to try to connect with Apollo's emotions here. Like, that's what I would want as the player. Like, Apollo's feeling some sort of way, and I don't get anything because they're not telling me anything. So, like, I can't even feel like that sense of, like, yeah, we gotta find out what happened. We were just told it was his friend, and that was it. Showed a picture. Like, I think that's part of the problem. I'm having a hard time connecting to this case because I don't really care about the client, and even the victim's like, the victim I think we're supposed to care about, but they haven't given us like any information as to like the relationship with Apollo. I'm not sure if that's everything, but that I think does have something to do with it. And like Apollo keeps being quiet about it, and it's like, dude, that's not interesting. That's annoying more than anything. Why didn't he just tell me he couldn't remember? I guess he didn't want anyone to find out he was terrified of going into space. Like, Apollo apparently knows that this guy didn't kill his best friend, even though he's being accused of it. That's why he's defending him. But, like, why? He just keeps saying these words, and I think we're supposed to just buy it. But the game hasn't actually given us much of a reason to buy it. Maybe I really did do it? Man, I don't know. Which brings us to the answer of our original question. How would the witness climb down the ladder with a dead body? It does. So what is it? A dead man feels no pain and makes no complaints, Justice Dono. So the body was simply dropped down from the top of the ladder. Oh my, I see. And then the defendant could have climbed down with his free hand. okay? Even if the body's dead, wouldn't it have suffered some amount of bruising? Something that would have indicated that he got dropped from such a height?
Objection!
Judge pissing me off doesn't help at all. Drop the body down. Who would do such a despicable thing? That's a bad objection. Dropping the body down would leave marks on the body itself. That's a much better objection. You are capable of quick thinking. Yes, you are correct. Really? Oh, thanks. Oh. Hey, what's up, Aiden? Huh? What's this? It's the oxygen tank from the victim's spacesuit. It's ruptured, and I'm sure you can figure out why. Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I could have sworn I said that the body would have marks on it. Not talking about his fucking oxygen tank. So why don't you show me the marks on the body that indicated that he was dropped from that amount of, you know, height? He said that, dude said, oh, so you are capable of quick thinking. Well, here's an oxygen tank. You're like the third person to say that, CJ. Like, people really like the case, and then they're surprised that I like it. Like, why? Is there something about it that screams Twain's gonna hate this? It is corny as fuck. I would agree with that. I think that was the worst part of the story. That and the other thing I talked about, which I can't remember what it was. That was missing. But yeah, it was super fucking corny. So I get the dislike for that. Oh, the lawyer school mechanics are fucking garbage. But like, okay, so here's the problem with that, with thinking along those lines. If I hated the case because the lawyer school mechanics were stupid, I would hate every single game because the way the system is set up, and the law system in general is set up, is stupid. So like, I can criticize it without it making me dislike what I'm playing. Does that make sense? Because I mean, I'm still more upset about the lawyer system, the law system, than I am about the depiction of the school. So like, I feel like if I disliked it for that reason, my reasoning would then become inconsistent with how I view the rest of the games. Well, yeah, I'm still gonna criticize the shit out of it because it's dumb. But it's kind of like what I did in game one. Criticize it, and then you just gotta kind of accept it. Otherwise, what's the point of continuing? Everything's just gonna make you mad. Which, that still happens, but it's like, you still want to be able to enjoy it. You can't be implying it ruptured when the defendant dropped the body. I am fully fractured easily when struck.
Objection!
Even if that's true, the tank's explosion and shrapnel will leave its mark on the body. Yet according to the autopsy, only the knife wound was found on the victim's body. That, and he fell from a distance. You're clearly grasping at straws with this line of reasoning.
Silence.
I wouldn't have said that. It's just you're grasping at straws. Oh, okay. How about you show him why he's grasping at straws instead of just saying it? Like, it's, those additions are unnecessary. The court of law. A spacesuit isn't heavy for the sake of being heavy, Justice Dono. It includes the latest technology devices made of fabric of tomorrow. Does that mean that it's made to make it so that you don't get bruised if you fall from a great distance? And that knife punctured it just fine. But a shrapnel from an explosion wouldn't be able to? This fabric is made to protect astronauts from the dangers of space, so falling a few Earth yards would hardly leave a mark on the wearer. That... Nope. Nope.
Objection!
Then should it be impossible to stab someone through it as well? It should, and yet, through sheer coincidence, the knife slipped through a weak spot in the suit structure and found its way to the target. Oh, I see. Now you see, there's this thermal exhaust port that the spacesuit has. It's really the only part of the entire station, so to speak, in which something can enter and possibly destroy the wearer. What are the chances? You forget that our killer is an astronaut himself with knowledge of how the suit works. He's got me there. And now my argument has been proven. Spaceboy killed the victim in the rocket and then dropped his body from the upper level. After climbing down, he showed the body and made sure the camera recorded it. I would definitely be arguing the drop, the body bruise thing. Like we'd have to get an expert witness in to talk about the spacesuit itself and whether or not shrapnel could or could not get through it, and whether somebody would still be likely to be bruised from a fall from X amount of feet while in the spacesuit. If bruising would still appear, this would require an entire extra expert witness that wasn't Blackwell just saying these things. There's no room for debate about these facts. Another worthless statement. It is clear, worthless, that Solomon Starbuck is the only one who could have killed Clay Terran. Here, report regarding the astronauts' oxygen tanks. Consider it my send-off gift. Feel free to use it as payment to cross the river Styx. Ah! Right, like, if they want to use that, that's fine. It's dumb. I just want you guys to know how I would approach that particular situation in a real court where, you know, facts matter instead of just speculation. It does make a lot of sense. Hey, this report is pretty detailed. Let's see. The display on the astronaut's left shoulder shows how much oxygen remaining. I guess that means the glowing cyan digits represent the amount of oxygen remaining. Alright. You see that contradiction? I'm done for. Go to prison instead of space. Space boy. Yes? Also, Blackwell just gave us another thing to defeat him. Take on. The bejeweled night sky is still beautiful even when viewed through bars. You mean the stars are seen from prison? That's right. Your cell will be your spaceship. Picture the view through the iron bars. It's like being an astronaut in your own craft for all time. It's not a half-bad thought. Mr. Starbuck? Prosecutor Blackwell got to him good. Spaceship prison cell, finding guilt by guilt and by despair into the deepest, darkest space. And then let's get sucked into a black hole together. You do not want to get sucked into a black hole, my friend.
Objection!
Mr. Starbuck, you can't give up hope. Oh. Yes, Apollo? You know, Clay really looked up to you. He said you are an incredible man. He said you'd never give up your dreams and passion for space, no matter the situation. So don't give up now and help me prove your innocence. For the sake of the man who respected you and believed in you, Clay Terran. For Clay. No wasting your breath. Rah! Rah, rah, rah. Apollo, thank you. I can see things clearly now. Mr. Starbuck, I'm fine now. Thanks for reminding me of my life's mission. Right, we'll both be fine. I'll prove you innocent, you'll see. And after that, we'll get you back into space. Rah! You've ignited the booster rockets of my soul! I'm on fire! Yeah, I was gonna say, like, the idea of dying due to spaghettification seems quite awful, personally. I'm Solomon Starbuck, astronaut, cosmic hero chosen by the universe itself. There's no time to be whimpering and crying. I can't let you and Clay down. Balderdash. The sun, the moon, all of space is calling me Solomon Soul Starbuck. Ready for launch. Begin the countdown. 5, 4. Oh my god. 3. Don't encourage him. 2, 1. Guilty. Lift off. Well, I feel like I've witnessed an actual rocket launch. Apollo, you did it! What you did is made him happy again. He broke Prosecutor Blackwell's grip over Mr. Starbuck. Can't take the credit, it was all Mr. Starbuck. He pulled through himself. You simpletons are done massaging one another's egos. No matter how positive your mood, my advantage remains unshaken. I have but to wait for the final guilty verdict. Isn't that right, your baldness? Can't let it now. I have to stop Blackwell. I have to see this through. Mr. Starbuck just has to make it back into space. Oh, we saw them have a picture together. Wow, that really makes me have a connection between Apollo's and Clay's characters, and really makes this trial, you know, personal for me because we saw them in a picture together. Won't allow Clay's dream to remain unfulfilled. I've got to destroy Blackwell's argument somehow. Think, Justice, think. The only people at Launchpad 1 were Clay and Mr. Starbuck. And if Clay was already dead by the time this footage was taken, the only person who could have killed him is Mr. Starbuck. The only way to counter Blackwell's argument is if I can prove Clay was still alive when they arrived at the boarding room, in which case I should be able to find some contradiction in the evidence itself. Now let's see, about this data we just received. This supposedly proves that Mr. Starbuck dropped Clay's body in Launchpad 1. But if I'm going to prove that false, then there must be something I can use here. Enough of this farce, you baldness. Let's have your verdict.
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, you seem to be in quite a hurry to rush the verdict. About this oxygen tank data you submitted just now, it says that Mr. Starbuck's tank had 80% remaining while Mr. Terran's had 0. You stand by the accuracy of this report? Of course. Then I guess it simply means that it's faulty as evidence goes. You explain what you mean, Justice Dono? It's simple. This evidence contradicts the facts of this case. Take a look here at the detailed description, you'll see what I mean. I hope you have some evidence, Mr. Justice, because I don't see what's so contradictory. Yes, Your Honor, right away. This is the evidence that the oxygen tank report stands in contradiction to.
Take that!
Now does evidence present a contradiction? The problem is this part here.
Take that!
Note the remaining oxygen in Mr. Starbuck's tank as he carries Mr. Taryn. It appears to say 650. Yes, but according to the data, our client's tank had 80% remaining. Oxygen in the tank increased? I see, Your Honor finds it as strange as I do. It's bad enough that there's a contradiction, but the increase in oxygen is beyond illogical. Oh my, you're absolutely right. What is going on here?
Silence!
I too find it odd that the oxygen remaining is increased. It'll be as odd as if my rations would increase. But what does that prove? It doesn't change the fact that it is the defendant carrying the victim's
Objection!
corpse. I'm going to bet you don't get more rations because you don't abide by the rules. Either way, the oxygen remaining shouldn't increase, just as your rations don't increase. Therefore, this new information is critical. We can't overlook it.
Silence!
In that case, you have an answer to this riddle of the mysteriously increasing oxygen. But not disappointed, I'll declare the inconsistency as mere equipment malfunction. Ugh. Prosecutor Blackwell has a point. I suppose it could be a simple malfunction. Of course, we would have to get a expert witness in here to attest to that fact. So either way, the trial would have to go on. Mr. Justice, if you cannot provide an adequate counter-argument to this point, I'm afraid I must bring this trial to an end. So, do you think you can explain why the remaining oxygen level increased? Of course I can. Do at a time like this is turn my thinking around. Mr. Starbuck has no memory of it. He claims to have carried clay. This man with the 50 has taken Mr. Starbuck. And if anything, to this plan, his oxygen tank should have shown an 80. It's a clear contradiction between the report and the security footage. Dude, as soon as we saw the fucking... I mean, I thought it was implied in the cutscene, but as soon as we saw that photo, it was like, oh, they're switched. Duh. So what I should be asking is not why did the oxygen level increase, but what had to have happened to make it look like it increased. Am I making some kind of mistake in my base assumptions here? Well, Mr. Justice, we're waiting. Yes, Your Honor, I'm ready to answer. This is why the remaining oxygen appears to have increased. What if it was the other way around? The other way around? Would you care to explain, Mr. Justice? As you can see, Your Honor, both men had their helmets on in this footage. But it turns out, this is where our base assumptions went astray. We assumed that it was Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Taryn, but it was the other way around. It wasn't Mr. Starbuck helping Mr. Taryn at all. It was Mr. Taryn who was helping Mr. Starbuck to the boarding lounge. What? Order, Mr. Justice. You mean to tell me that the person on the right in this image is the victim, Clay Taryn? It's the only way the riddle of the increasing oxygen level can be solved, Your Honor. At this point in time, the remaining oxygen in the victim's tank was 80%. When the victim was found in the boarding lounge, his tank was at 0%. That's right! There's nothing contradictory about the oxygen level decreasing. This means Mr. Taryn was alive as they made their escape to the lounge.
Silence!
How short your memory is. Have you forgotten what you yourself proposed? Even if the victim was alive at this point in time. How did he descend the ladder with his arms full?
Objection!
Prosecutor Blackwell, you can't hurt me with a broken blade. Excuse me? It's true that we don't know how they got down the ladder. I suppose that matter needs further investigating. But we have proven that Mr. Taryn was alive when he reached the boarding lounge. This fact alone shatters your claims and opens up the possibility that the victim could have been killed by a third party. Ah! There were two people who claimed to be the first on the scene. But can we truly trust their statements? Let's see. The two people were Detective Candace Arm and Yuri Cosmos, right? You think that one of them might have given a false statement to the police? Yes, it's certainly possible. We might have to do a little more digging. It seems we'll have to hear the testimony of these two people, the first two people on the scene. Score! Come to think of it, Detective Arm should be here in court right now. Bailiff, could you please show Detective Arm to the stand? I have an announcement, everyone. What's the meaning of this? We're in the middle of a trial here. Please remain calm and listen carefully. Someone has reactivated the bomb. The bomb was defused, but it's about to explode. Load? Bomb now? Oh, everybody run! Eek, I don't want to die! Oh no, everybody's panicking. Yeah, no shit.
Silence.
Endless chickens with a death wish. A lot of you, calm yourselves before all else. Come on, Apollo, let's get out of here. What about Mr. Starbuck's dream? Who'll carry out Clay's final wish? The fuck are you talking about? I don't care what happens to me. I'm not letting some bomb blow the truth up forever. We can just continue in another room, my man. I refuse to let things end here. Paul, this is no time to be dramatic. We don't get out of here now, we're gonna die. Come on, this way. Hey, ouch, let me go. What is Apollo freaking out for? I really don't get it. Apollo! Juniper, she hasn't evacuated yet? Eek! Juniper, are you alright? Apollo, no, not that way! Ah! In the middle of the Space Center bombing trial, we had another bombing incident. This one destroyed courtroom number 4. Furthermore, Apollo suffered massive injuries from being there when the bomb went off. Unfortunately, Juniper Woods was fingered as the courtroom bomber. You really have to use that word? Accused. Charged. Athena and I knew she had to be innocent, so we took her case on. We managed to clear Miss Wood's name. But Apollo sustained further injuries when he was attacked by Ted Tunning. Apollo's a tough guy, but this is taking its toll on him. Yeah, poor guy, being attacked by a tunate like that on top of all of his other injuries. Lisa explains the jacket. That's his friend's jacket. It's cool. I mean, I like it. Apollo's resting at the nearby Hickfield Clinic. I've had some experience with that place myself. What an awful turn of events. Never thought he'd land in a hospital of all places. You must miss him too, huh? Now that you don't have anybody to tease. Don't worry, he's young. He'll quickly be back before you know it. It's been a while since I last saw Trucy look so down. We won the court case, yet nobody feels like celebrating. Alright, enough of this, people. There's no time to be moping around. Now dry those eyes, both of you. You're the only one who's crying, Athena. Technicalities. Look, we have work to do. We have to take over. Take over what exactly? Apollo's Space Center case, of course. As no verdict's been reached, there's still a chance. I agree with Athena. We should pick up Mr. Starbuck's defense. We have to avenge our fallen comrade, right, Daddy? Apollo hasn't exactly fallen. He's still alive, you know. Good. Now that that's settled, let's get going. Come on, we gotta run. Wait, right now? We're not be running the whole way. There she goes. Better catch up. You take care of the office, Trucy? Sure thing, Daddy. Let's be careful out there. Man, have Athena watch The Office for once. Not that I don't like Athena, because I do really like Athena, but it would actually be probably super adorable to have Phoenix and Trucy work on a case together. In the meantime, I'm gonna bake some pudding. Never mind. Never mind. Once again, immediately punished. Why would she say this to him? to Kyoko simp? Oh God. Is that your fan theory, Maxim? Are you 18 yet, Trep? No. Like 17 now? Because I mean, yeah, once you hit 18, you can't really be a Trucy simp anymore. You gotta evolve to a Kyoko simp. Yeah, just fucking like, oh man, this is cool. Oh, I immediately regret what I just said. 17, man, gotcha. Well, you could still be a Trucy simp for just a little bit longer, although, I mean, you know, but this nonsense, we need to push this away, game. No more of this. Trucy seems to be feeling a little better, and Phoenix is just like, yep, she just says shit like that. I'm 17 in January 21 years ago. I too was 17 in 2003. Trucy seems to be feeling a little better. I can always count on Athena to perk everybody up with her enthusiasm. Oh, she's back! Don't mind me, just forgot a few things, like the boss. Wallet, phone, documents, my badge. Sounds like more like you forgot everything. I can always count on Athena for that, too. Alright, you two, let's be careful out there. Our client is one Solomon Starbuck. He's so famous, even I've heard of him. That's right. He's a super famous astronaut who works at the Cosmos Space Center. He's actually up in outer space he was actually up in outer space 7 years ago. Didn't know quite a bit about him. He was in court. She heard all this already. Well, here we go. Wow, that was the longest sigh I've ever heard. Oh, tell me all about you. You're Phoenix Wright, Apollo's mentor, right? Yes, that's right. Mentor has a nice ring to it. Boss has a better ring to it. Don't worry about a thing, Mr. Starbuck. Mr. Wright and I have got you covered. And you're the new kid that Apollo told me about. Wait, do I know you from somewhere? Huh? You mean other than at your trial? I don't think so. I guess so. My mistake. Memory isn't what it used to be. My mind and body are kaput. Same goes for my life. I mean, I'm so astronomically unlucky that I had a bomb go off in the middle of my trial. Trying to defend me would be like trying to enter the stratosphere without a spacecraft. Yikes, he's seriously got to stop depressing himself. I mean, no. Because I didn't like the first part of this chapter. I was kind of explaining why. I didn't feel connected with it at all. It seemed like a chore. Like, I don't necessarily mind the way that they like were like building back up to it, but man, just the way the story was told here is not very good. At least in terms of like, I'm not connected to Apollo and his friendship with that guy, so like I have no motivation or inspiration to like get into character as Apollo to try to save this guy. Just, oh, let's show him a picture twice of them together. Oh yeah, that's lazy. I'm sure more will get explained later, but like it should have been explained earlier, not later. Yeah, then he got this chapter, not mentioned before. Apollo won't talk about it, and all we get are 2 flashback photos. Whoa, man. Well done, game. You really built up that relationship for us. They mention him a bunch of times because he's the victim. They mention him briefly at the end of last chapter. Hello, Alex. Like, that's not enough. That is not enough. It's like, no. I know. I wasn't responding to you, Devin. I was responding to Shinjinko. He talked about his friend a few times before that I can't even remember. So, yeah, that must have been a real effective way to get that done. Mentioning him a few times before doesn't make it better. If we had met him before, that would be different. Him just having been brought up a few times in the past, that ain't good enough. I just didn't care. Just didn't care about anything that just happened there. Like, we already knew what happened in the future, so that was a chore to get through. Right. When Apollo was there and recovering, and that wasn't something that was ever mentioned, even briefly. And Apollo was acting pretty normal again, despite the fact that his friend had died. His best friend, that apparently had such a great relationship with, just died 2 days ago. People cope a lot of different ways, right? I get that. But in terms of a narrative, having Apollo act exactly the same it's bad. Like, I never in a million years would have guessed that, oh, Apollo's best friend had just died 2 years ago from what we saw in the first case. Like, he should have been acting different from then. That would have made it more intriguing in the build-up. Well, no, his best friend is Emma. I had two thoughts that I'm pretty sure I had two thoughts that wanted to come out at the same time. So then another word was trying to sneak its way in there, and instead it came out as breast. I mean, did we see his pecs? I mean, it looks like he was probably pretty fit. You gotta be pretty fit to be an astronaut, right? I actually didn't mind Apollo in a... Oh, never mind. That's not true. I did very much mind. I criticized him several hundred times. But, yep, I'm just gonna go ahead and agree with you there. Cheer up, Mr. Starbuck. Besides, that thing you said about entering the stratosphere, that just means we'd shine like shooting stars, right? Yeah, as we were burning to death. Like shooting stars, huh? No, you're right. Why did I think about that? After all, that's what we were all put on this earth to do, right? Shine like stars. No, because then we would just be stars. Yes, I shouldn't mention the fact that shooting stars burn out in a flash. Not only that, but shooting stars aren't even stars. Okay. Oh yeah, here we go. 3, 2, 1, to the stratosphere and beyond. To infinity and beyond. Yeah, I feel alive now. You can go ahead and ask me anything you want. That really all it takes? I wish I could do a better Tim Allen. And then I do the buzz voice for him, but I cannot do a Tim Allen at all. Do you have no memory at all of the incident? So ashamed. My memory of the time is as black and clouded as a dark nebula. Still, it's strange you don't remember a thing. Not if he was knocked out, it's not strange. Are you sure you didn't take one of those anti-anxiety pills like they said at the trial? That's true. We do burn out near instantaneously. It's true I developed a fear of space because of what happened 7 years ago. I was taking medication secretly every now and then when my anxiety got bad. Having a fear of space is not something an astronaut can brag about, you know? It's probably something you should see a therapist about, though, if that's going to continue to be your profession. She can... Why don't I just... Because my therapist... She can prescribe you, you know, medication that would help your anxiety long term instead of just taking one thing when it gets bad. Perhaps it wouldn't get bad if you were on long term. I hate people that I hate that people neglect their mental health like that. Oh, the so-called HAT1 miracle? Must have been a terrifying experience. Just to say the fucking least, Phoenix. Jesus Christ. And I'm still an astronaut at heart, come what may. I would never take drugs that might impede my performance just before a launch. That launch meant everything to me. That's more certain than the theory of relativity. Well, I mean, the theory of relativity, isn't it like not necessarily certain recently? It has its own holes or whatever? Or am I thinking of a different am I thinking of something different? Oh, this dust is bothering me. Sorry. I don't know, maybe I'm just fucking... It's late, I'm tired, I'm really tired. I'm just losing it. That Tax Heaven game threw me off, man. Miss Tara pissed. just do the The problem is that he says more words than that, though. Then go rewatch the stream. It's still up there. Yeah, I mean, it's true. There are still theories, technically. Like I said, it's possible that I was thinking of a different theory. No, that's not the. I was thinking it was the one where like dark matter is a problem, but I don't think that's what I was thinking about. I can't think of this shit right now. I'm way too fucking out of it. Seems like a completely different person now. Yes, please do. Share with your friends. I appreciate it. Well, I mean, yeah, I think we all know that theories are based on evidence. Just doesn't make them... As long as they're still theories, they're not technically concrete. Based on the definition of what a theory is, right? I don't think anybody is debating that contention. Your conspiracy theory? What is your conspiracy theory? I feel like I've heard you like say multiple conspiracy theories that you very clearly state are conspiracy theories. This is the face of the astronaut I know. But the tranquilizers were found in your system. Yeah, see, that's the thing, but I don't know why. Done for. You didn't take them, then maybe someone slipped them to you? Exactly, that's what I thought. Must have been the real culprit. My medication was in my locker. Anybody could have gotten their hands on it. Well, that's a problem. Maybe the real culprit also planted the detonator switch in your pocket. Yeah, that's gotta be it. I've been framed. I'll say, they even managed to plant your prints on the switch before slipping it in. It's a real possibility. Do you remember anything else that might be relevant? I don't know, Maxim. That seems... I think that might be a stretch. Anything at all, no matter how small? Like, about the murder weapon, for example. That knife. I think it came from one of the Space Center's utility kits. Utility kits? Yeah, staff who work on machinery a lot are given these special toolkits to use. All the technicians have them, so I doubt you can prove whose knife it is. As I recall, your last trip into space was 7 years ago, right? I actually really like, I love this cocked smile as like who he is when he's like feeling good. I think that fits him a lot. As I recall, your last trip into space was 7 years ago, right? Doesn't that depend on what you consider to be a fact? Damn, dude. You're a cynical child. Oh, that's interesting. A theory never becomes a fact. It is an explanation of one or more facts. A well-supported... But doesn't that just become one bigger fact? Well-supported... I'd probably have to go into it... Like, this short explanation on its own is not good enough, but there might be an actual explanation in this. Like, they expand upon that. Well-supported evidence-based theory becomes acceptable until disproved. It never evolves to a fact, and that's a fact. I'm trying to think of, like... I'm trying to think of something where it's like... Because, like, even flat Earth theorists... Like, we know that's bullshit. But we know based on a set of facts. But I'm trying to think of something a little more concrete than that. That, like, is a certainty. Yeah, I mean, difference in terminology definitely can explain that issue that you're saying. I mean, some people don't believe in gravity. That's right, it was a pretty rough experience. During that mission, we had all kinds of problems with the craft. You did? What kind of problems? Power failure, oxygen leakage, busted radio, cracked windows, loose control column. The heat shield came off as we were entering the atmosphere. I thought it was a goner. It sounds like somebody tried to kill him before. But I managed to make it somehow with the popsicles and ice packs from the freezer. No wonder they dubbed it the HAT-1 miracle. It's a miracle you made it back. Yeah, no fucking shit. Okay. Space is a boundless place. That's why it continues to capture people's imagination. But the vastness of space shows us how insignificant we are in the scheme of things. Well, that's all I fucking needed before I have to go to bed. God damn it, game. The darkness just goes on and on forever and ever and ever without end. There was nobody else there. Nobody was gonna come save me. I was all alone. All alone. With nothing to listen to but the sound of my own breathing and heartbeat. I kept scrambling to make repairs, but I couldn't keep my hands from shaking. Experience like that would make anybody afraid to go up in space. Wait, so he was by himself? How often does that happen? That seems like that would never happen. For many reasons. Or did they say that the other people died? The experience you had, weren't you dreading this mission? What? No way, of course not. Even now, I want to go up space so bad I can barely stand it. I want to shake off the Earth's gravity and escape velocity and spin around weightless. But you have to admit it was pretty harrowing. Weren't you even a tiny bit afraid? I was afraid, of course I was. Still am. But space is man's final frontier, an unknown world. Cosmic truth is out there waiting for us somewhere. Cosmic truth, huh? I guess there are people looking for the truth in every walk of life. No matter how afraid I am, I'm sure I can manage. If I give in to my fear, I'll never find the truth. Okay. So, CJ, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I can tell you that when I'm having an existential crisis, I know you're responding to, you're trying to pep Light up. That response will rarely ever be effective in doing so. Oh, sure, yeah. It's all like sensationalized to a certain extent. I mean, yeah, when I was your age, I didn't think about it either. Then I started to. Then it sucked. I mean, yeah, I'll continue along my life and just try to be a good person and help others in their lives. Those that I can affect. Exactly what I'm gonna do. Doesn't change that. That feeling of existential dread is terrifying and isn't gonna go away anytime soon. As long as I don't give up, I can keep up the fight. One thing's for sure, Mr. Starbuck's passion for space is undeniably the real deal. But see, Light, that sort of thing is really hard to say, because, like, you never know, like, what chain of events you could have started with such a generous donation that could then have eventually worked out very well for somebody somewhere. Good deeds should never be, you know, everybody should be proud of their good deeds. They can have quite the ripple effect. That's why I mean, despite my, I'm not really a nihilist, but despite my, like, depression that comes from that, I still try to, you know, do that stuff because I'd rather those good things happen than things that suck. The victim, Clay Terran, he was kind of like your protege, wasn't he? But it wasn't a big exaggerated deal like master and apprentice or anything like that. But Clay did think of me as his mentor. Mentor and the protege, what a combination they must have been. With his encouragement, I knew I could get over my fear and go back into space. But now, they must have been very encouraging, huh? Yeah, it's funny really, whenever I'd hear him shout, "You're fine!" I always got the feeling everything really was gonna be just fine. You're fine? Apollo says I'm fine, and you're fine all the time too! Oh my god, I'm just putting that together! Yeah. And if people were more, like, comfortable with just being nice, sure, the rest of the world would be a, you know, significantly better place like that too. A lot of little things happening to make people's lives better. Pay it forward. I don't think I'm at optimistic nihilism yet. Like, I don't see as what I do as my purpose, I guess. That's one thing I don't... Like, I have those existential thoughts, but I don't ever really think of what my purpose... Like, how to create a purpose. What is the purpose? Is it just that it's just there? It serves no purpose? Like, those aren't thoughts I actually consider. It's more along the lines of, well, it's possible this is all meaningless in terms of like we birth, we die, and then what? Universe is gonna end someday. Man, I'm shut up. And I always feel encouraged too whenever I hear him shout it. Yeah, Clay and Apollo were best buds. They used to come visit the Space Center a lot, even since they were high school kids. One day out of the blue, Kay even told me he wanted to be my protege. Those two hung around the Space Center so much they were like a part of the staff. All of this would have been really interesting to know before the first part of this case happened. Might have made, you know, our connection with Apollo a little stronger. One time during zero-G training, I started to panic a little bit. And two of them took turns shouting, "You're fine," over the radio. It was a simple thing, but it was exactly what I needed to hear. So I'm fine and you're fine. We're like Apollo and Clay's secret phrases, huh? Wish I could ask Apollo more about Clay and their relationship now. Speaking of Clay, how do you suppose he climbed down the ladder with you over his shoulder? Fuck. Sorry, but I can't even begin to imagine. But he actually did climb down that ladder, so wait, it has to exist. From the freedom of space to the walls of a cell. The prosecutor said the dark night sky isn't half bad through barred windows. You're fine, Solomon's soul. Starbuck is fine. Everything is going to be fine. Huh? And Athena Sykes is fine. Come on, Mr. Wright, you too. I really have to. Phoenix Wright is fine. I can't hear you. Phoenix Wright is fine. God damn. We'll get you back into space yet, Mr. Starbuck. Believe in your own innocence and have faith in us. Apollo believed in you wholeheartedly, and that's good enough for me. I believe in you too. Thank you, both of you. I'll put my faith in you. And I vow to make it back into space. All I need first is a not guilty verdict. Sure feels nice to reassure ourselves every now and then that we're all fine. Okay, Mr. Wright. Let's get our investigation of the Space Center started. Pronto. Good idea. Let's go. Alright. I've sufficiently depressed myself enough today. And I don't want to keep going out with this case with like a negative mindset. I need to take a little break, come back, clear mind. Hopefully be able to wash the distaste out of the first part of this case, out of memory, out of mind, and could basically treat this as its entirely separate thing. We'll do it that way. Do it that way. I'll be back next Friday with more of this. What is that's not till the next week. So there's gonna be 1 week where the weekend of the 28th, I'll be playing Genshin on Friday instead of this, and I don't know if I'm gonna be playing this that weekend. But we will this weekend, 21st, 22nd. I'll be playing it, so. Yep, that'll work for me. I'm sure there is a way for me to do that, but just you're fine, ain't gonna. Ain't enough. I wish. Well, thank you for watching, everybody. Hope to see you guys next time. Thank you to Lightgazer for that cool $5 earlier in the tax game. Tax game was fun. You guys should go check out that stream separately if you didn't have a chance. And we'll continue with case 5-4 when we return. Next Friday. At night. Same time, same place. Alright, everybody. Stream's adjourned.
Just cuts him in half.
Oh, not cool.